What up, everybody? This is Tevin Talks. This is the intro video. Man, I'm super excited about this shit. Um, I've been getting a lot of love and a lot of support from a lot of people. I didn't expect so much support and love as I did. I didn't expect it so soon. You know what I mean? So anybody, man, if you're on the Facebook group, you're on the fucking, you following the Instagram page, man, I appreciate it. Much love. Man, I'm definitely trying to deliver and, trying to give people what they want. Um, by the way, if you want to join the Facebook group, if you're not in it already, it's Tevin Talks Podcast on the Facebook group, Tevin Talks Podcast, Snapchat, and Instagram. I got a Twitter, but I'm trying to figure out how to work Twitter a little bit. So work with me. I made no posts yet, but I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat. Everything is Tevin Talks Podcast. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Tevin Talks Podcast. All of the full videos will be uploaded on the YouTube channel. So if you want to see the full video, the only place you're really going, for now, I should say, the only place for now you're going to be able to see the full video is on YouTube, and that's Tevin Talks Podcast. So everything is Tevin Talks Podcast, YouTube channel, Facebook group, um, Snapchat, and Instagram. Working on my Twitter right now. It's up, but like ain't shit posted. So um, be on the lookout for that. I kind of want to talk about a little bit about how this got started and stuff like that, and kind of give you a little idea of what I'm gonna be talking about. Some things that might be discussed, and kind of a little bit about the overall creativity of this podcast. So, um, when it comes to how this shit actually got started, the craziest thing about all this originally wasn't even my idea. Um, my guy Zach Riot had hit me up a couple months back. He called me out of the blue, like, "Yo, I want to do this podcast, and I want to do it with you. I want to know if you kind of, want to be a part of that." So at first, I was kind of iffy about it because, like, I wasn't thinking about podcasting. Like, that shit wasn't nowhere even on my fucking mind at all. So I gave it some thought. And I came back to him and I was like, fuck it. Like, this kind of is a good idea. And we wanted to base that shit around like black empowerment and, all forms and facets around that. So I told Zach, I'm like, fuck it, I'm with it. So a couple weeks later, Zach had hit me up. Basically, him and his wife had came up with the idea where they wanted to do their own podcast. So, for me, I understood it like, I get it, happy wife equals happy home. So he ended up creating a podcast with his wife. So, um, I had bought a bunch of shit. So I'm like, well, fuck, like, you know, I didn't want to do this shit originally. Like it wasn't my idea, so I was like, well, fuck, like, what do I do? Do I just sell this shit? Do I keep going with it? So I sat down with the wife and I chopped it up with her. And she was just like, look, she was like, I really think you should do this shit on your own at the end of the day. And I just wasn't too sure about it because, the energy just work a little differently when you got more than one body. So I sat down, I thought about the shit, and I said, fuck it. So um, I just proceeded to go through with it. I bought more shit. Everything you see in here is me. Like, this is all my manifestation and my creativity. Everything you see here, this is all me. I did this shit all by myself. My energy is all wrapped around this motherfucker. So everything you see in here is me. You know what I mean? So that's really how the podcast got started. Like, this shit wasn't even my idea. Like, my guy had hit me up, and Zach's still my guy. Like, we still fucking kicking and all that shit. Shout out to my guy Zach. That's still my homie. Um, but everything you see in here is me. And I was real proud of that. It took me weeks to do all this shit. I got over like 300 blue and black sound pads you see in here. And I posted all them bitches on the wall. So I'm real proud of that. So everything you see in here is me. So that's kind of how this shit got started with my guy Zach hitting me up. A little bit of kind of about what I'll be talking about. This is really geared towards my people at the end of the day. That's my biggest thing. And anything pertaining to my people, that's what I'll be talking about. So fucking politics, sports, entertainment, economics, race, religion, fucking relationships, spirituality, fucking African history, psychological warfare, you name it, man. Like, if it has to do with my people, we're gonna be talking about it. Comedy, all type of shit. We're gonna shoot the shits too. But no stone is going to be left unturned on this podcast. So, the one thing I tell people, man, this if you got a weak stomach, this podcast ain't for you. Like, I suggest you go find some other shit to do or listen to, because if you got a weak stomach or you ain't tough minded, or you can't handle the truth, this shit ain't gonna be for you. You need to go do some other shit. You know what I mean? So, with this really being geared towards my people, the one of the biggest things that I wanted to do was put people who I knew on the map. You know what I mean? Like, giving them space to tell their story. You know what I mean? Because everybody got a story to tell. So, if I fuck with you, or you doing some good shit, or, you got information that's useful, I want to have you on this bitch. So I really wanted to also use this as a space for people to tell their stories. You know what I mean? So, tell us your story, what you went through, how'd you get to this point in your life? Like, if you, for example, like if you got a clothing line business or whatever, like, where can we find your shit? Where's your Instagram platforms? How can we buy your shit? Because I wanted to use this as a way to create synergy. You know what I mean? Like another way to direct traffic towards their business. You know what I mean? So that was really big for me. It really was. So, and that's something that I wanted to do. Um, and kind of with this podcasting thing, like I said, like everybody got a story to tell, and everybody want to tell their story at some point, I believe. And for me, I feel like I was like many people, like I wanted to tell my story on the Breakfast Club and Ebro in the morning, like all those major podcast platforms that everybody be fucking with. Like I wanted to be on there too, like many other people. But what I realized is that I had to stop looking for somebody to give me the approval, basically being like, all right, we deem your story worthy. All right, come tell your shit. And basically, I'm like, fuck it. Well, I'll use this to create my own platform where I can tell my own story. So that way I can talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. Can't nobody tell me shit. This is mine. And I can bring whoever I want to bring on here and tell my story versus waiting for somebody to give me the okay and verification that, okay, you're at a point where people want to hear your shit now. Come on, it's like the validation. So fuck it, I use this as a way to create my own space and be able to tell my own story. So I just stopped waiting on that validation. You know what I mean? So the crazy thing is, like I said, just telling my own story, and a little bit about my story is that for me, like I've never been rolling in the dough or had a shit ton of bread. Like, and anybody who really, really knows me, like, I've never faked the funk. Like, I've never even portrayed myself that way. So I never been rolling in the bread. But the one thing that I realized is that in order for me to get into the space that I wanted to, in order to create my podcast and some other really dope shit I'm working on, and to put myself in a position to really start making money, um, there was certain shit that I had to do and certain ties I had to cut, because I didn't realize how that was really affecting my creativity and how I wanted to manifest shit, and who I really wanted to be at the end of the day. So the one thing that I started realizing the older I got is that whether it's family, because I had to cut family off, like, and those are the people that, you taught, this is who you listen to, this is who the fuck always got your best interest, and really family can be the worst ones. So for me, what I realized is once I started literally cutting out the people who didn't support my ideas or always told me no, because for me, like I said, like it was a point in time in my life where like I was always broke. I never had bread. Like in my early 20s too, like, you know, I usually would have like $20 to my name. And the one thing that really fucked me up was every time I wanted to go make a major move or I wanted to do some shit that was out of the norm, I had to go beg somebody to give me money in order to do that. Like I really had to beg people like, yo, and close family members too. And it was really sink or swim. It came down to whether or not they say yes or no. And I had to get to a point in my life where I realized like, okay, this don't feel right, where every time I want to make a move, this is based off of whether motherfuckers say yes or no. So I had to beg people to make certain moves. I had to beg people to take me certain places because I didn't have the means to do it myself. So once I really got tired of that shit, that's when I started working jobs and, saving money and getting myself out of that box of having to ask somebody all the time. Like I had to ask to get rides. I had to ask to go to certain colleges. I had to ask permission to get certain amounts of money and to be able to do certain shit. So I had to put myself in a position where, you know, I had I didn't have to ask anymore, where it really came down to me saving money and making the right moves in order to make that shit. So I just got to a point in my life where I realized that even the closest people in my life, that I didn't have to deal with them if I didn't want to. Like, I really didn't have to. That I could separate myself from them and take responsibility for the energy that I was allowing in my space, and that was preventing me from being exactly who the fuck I wanted to be and doing the shit that I wanted to do. Because if it wasn't how they did it and how they got to success, it was a no. So I had to really separate myself from them. And once I did that, that's when I started to manifest the shit that I really wanted to, and I was able to get real creative about shit without having to worry about that mental block of, no, well, that ain't how you do it. Like, go to school and go to college. Because for me, like, I went to 6 different colleges. I was hooping and shit. The last college I went to was at Avalon University, and I had a year left to get my degree. And I came back home. I was 20. I'm 29. I was like 20. I was 25 going on 26. Um, I had gave 26 years of my life to basketball. So the older I got, the more I wanted different shit. Like, the hoop dream wasn't so surreal for me as it used to be. Like, I wanted different shit. Like, I was really growing up. Like, I wanted a family. Like, I didn't want to go overseas for 6 years to build a resume to where I could start making a certain type of money that I really wanted to. Like, um, the way I treated people meant more to me than um, separating myself from the people that I did give a fuck about in order to make money. And there's nothing wrong with that, but this was my values. You know what I mean? So I wanted different shit. So I came home, I started a basketball skills training business. And this is what's funny about all this. Like, some of the closest people to me was telling me, no, this is fucking stupid. You need to go back to school. You got a year left to get your degree. Like, go back, hoop, like, go do that. And I never forget this shit. I went to Chris McKeefrey crib, and I chopped it up with Chris McKeefrey about this shit. And I was like, man, I just started a business. Business is going good. Like, I was doing business with Chris too and shit. I'm like, I had just got some of my materials from my clothing line. I was like, business is going really good. Like, if I leave, it's going to get fucked up. And, we chopped it up. And I made my decision. I said, fuck it. Like, I'm going to stay back and do my business. And my business skills, because I was doing fitness and weight training and basketballs and skill fitness and weight training and basketball skills training. So business was going really good for me starting off. And it went from the very people close to me going like, no, don't do this. Like, go back to school, to, yo, help me, come run my shit because it's getting really big. Because my brother he had hit me like, yo, I want you to come help me with my business. It's getting really big. Like, I need somebody I can trust, and yada, yada, yada. So we sat down. Um, we went over the logistics and shit about the agreements and how and what we agreed upon and how we were going to conduct doing business together. And he was like, all right, we're going to do some paperwork. We're going to make this shit surreal. So I said, all right, bet. And then that ended up falling through. A bunch of shit happened. That ended up falling through. So I separated myself, and I really started thinking about, okay, what am I good at? What do I know? How can I create money? Like, how can I build a foundation? I had just had my first son too. Um, my son was on his way, actually. So I really had to kick it into overdrive. Like, it wasn't playtime no more. Like, I was fighting for something other than myself at that point in time. And that's what really geared me to start creating and manifesting shit that really made sense, right? Because now it wasn't just about me anymore. Like, I had a boy on the way. And the biggest thing for me was, I didn't want him to go through what I went through. I didn't want him to have to beg the way I had to beg. I didn't want him to have to always ask for people, and whether or not you can create something is based off of whether a motherfucker tells you yes or no. So I said, fuck it. I really got to kick it into overdrive. And um, I started developing shit where, all right, now I'm developing an app too, which I can't talk about the details yet. Once it finally gets finished and finalized, I'm super excited. I really want to talk to everybody about that. But down the line, I'll end up talking about that. But my point with that being is, I separated myself from people and I kicked it into overdrive because I had my first son, and I was able to, work on creating an app for businesses and creating a podcast space because to me the biggest thing is treating people good. You can ask anybody who know me. Like I always meet people with high energy, and I get a high off of being good to people. And anybody who know me, I'm always meeting people with high energy. Like, yo, what's good? What's up? Like, how you been? How life treating you? And like, I go out of my way to help a motherfucker. So I really enjoy being good and treating people nicely. Like, I really get a high off of that shit. And for me, I always give my respect first because I don't tolerate disrespect. So I'll give my respect first. You know what I mean? Because I really believe in treating people good and, doing right by people. And that's how I've always carried myself. So, you know, that was really a big catalyst for ideas and shit coming my way that originally wasn't even my own that I was able to create and run with because of the energy that I was putting out there. It was coming back to me. It was coming back to me when I needed this shit. You know what I mean? So, I went from barely having any money to having to beg a motherfucker to now I'm in the position where I'm about to make the most money I've ever made in my life. And that is priceless because by that being in place, now I can really make sure that for my kids, they won't have to go through what I went through. They won't have to beg like I had to beg. You know what I mean? They won't have to do that. So that was really huge for me. But I went through those phases and separated people and took control of the energy that was in my space and what I was putting out and became who I really wanted to be. You know what I mean? So um, that was really, really huge for me. You know what I mean? So that was kind of also, I developed my core values that way too. And for me, like in basic psychology, they'll teach you whatever your core beliefs and values are, that's what you're going to act on. And for me, my biggest core values is my people. I love my people. It's always my people first, everything else second. So for me, I realized that if good karma was going to come to me, that I had to be exactly who I said, that I had to be exactly who I said I was. And that's the thing. Like, I'm exactly who I say I am through and through. Like, for me, like, I'm unapologetically about my people. Like, I got a fucking video on Facebook of me japping on the mayor, the fucking police chief, and his assistant, and a couple other people. I got a fucking newspaper that came out that I got on my IG about me snapping on the fucking the Ashwaubenon at at Ashwaubenon in the town hall meeting, japping on them. You know what I mean? And defending my stance in my race because at the end of the day, I'm exactly who I say I am. I don't dumb down my blackness for nobody because that's the most important thing to me. So no matter who I'm around, like my voice don't change. It don't get low. I don't, you know, dumb my blackness down. I'm exactly who I say I am through and through. And that's why I sleep good at night. And that's why, the universe has been blessing me because I haven't faked the funk. I'm exactly who I say I am in every sense of the word. You know what I mean? And I stand behind everything I believe in and say, whether it's going to be beneficial or whether it's going to not be beneficial for me, I stand behind exactly who I say I am. And I'm who I say I am through and through. So with all those things being in play, that brought me to this point of where I am in my life. And like I said, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. I'm 29 now, and I'm the happiest I've ever been. And it took me 29 years to finally figure it out, like of exactly what I needed to do, and who I needed to be. So that was really, really huge for me. You know what I mean? So drowning out that outside noise, man, was just fucking, it was huge. Also, what I realized in life is that information is key. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know, but for example, I hated reading, right? And I'll tell you how I learned information is key because I hated reading. Like, you could ask my brother Gary, you couldn't pay me to read. Like, I fucking hated reading. Like, but I realized when I got older that all the information business wise that I didn't know and I needed to know, somebody wrote a book on that shit. So this is exactly what the fuck I did. I understood that it was bigger than just, if I was going to be successful business wise, once I separated people out of my life that I needed to, that there was information that I had to know that they already knew that they weren't going to give to me. So this is exactly what I did. I went right on Amazon. For example, I understood, I didn't know shit about a tax write-off and sole proprietorship and home-based business versus brick and mortar and overhead. Like, I didn't understand none of that shit. So I went and bought a book on all that shit. I went on Amazon. I typed in exactly what I wanted to know. I researched the motherfuckers who wrote the book. I found out who had the best validity, and I bought that book and I read it and I applied the shit. I bought the book. I researched who wrote the book. I typed in what I needed. I found out who had the best validity. I bought the shit, and all the information I absorbed, I applied it. So I stopped being fearful of doing shit that I had never done before, because it's all about, what you know and what you don't know. What do you know and what you don't know? And then you got to apply the shit. So literally that allowed me to create this space. Like, and when I go into business meetings with people, I've been fortunate enough to talk to people who's make good relationships with people who's making multi-million dollars. I've met with people who's making millions of dollars and wanted to invest in my app idea. But I said no, because of the knowledge I had learned, I had understood this early on. That's not necessary. So if you, whatever you want to do, I don't give a fuck what it is. Somebody has wrote a book on whatever the fuck you're trying to do. And if you don't like reading, nigga, they got audio books now. Like, go get a fucking audio book. Sit down and listen to that shit. If you like fucking music all day, you should be able to sit down and listen to a fucking audio book. So I bought the most money on books I've ever bought in my fucking life. You know what I mean? Because I understood that most of the shit I want to learn, I've done two things. I've either bought a book on the shit and read it and applied it, or I've researched and listened to people who spent 30 to 40 plus years of their life dedicated to these specific instances or aspects about life or business shit. Like, that's what I did. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to buckle down and read some shit. And the people that I'm going to be having on here have, they got the validity and the experience and the background to back up a lot of shit they're going to be talking about. Like, people who's making millions of dollars or people who have spent X amount of years of their lives to this shit. So I'm gonna have people who that's really gonna be dropping jewels, man. So, I'm gonna be talking about a lot of hard hitting shit. And I'm gonna be saying a lot of shit that's gonna hit people, that's gonna rub people the wrong way. But it's, I speak the truth and I tell people, if you don't believe what the fuck I'm saying or you think I'm lying, fact check me. Like, don't just listen to what the fuck I say. Fact check what I'm saying. Because that's what I did. Every time I heard somebody say some shit, I go fact check it. And when that shit came back true after I fact checked it, okay. But, it was really listening to people who spent so many plus years of their life to these specific things. So I'm going to have people on here, man, that we're going to be talking about everything. We're going to be talking about the touchy shit. Like, we're going to be talking about shit that's, really hard to deal with, but it's going to be the truth. And it's going to, really be about my people. And don't get me wrong. Like, I'm going to have all type of, like, I don't give a fuck if you yellow. You're going to be on here as long as the information that they have is useful. You know what I mean? So, we gonna have real useful shit on here. So, just with that being said, man, this allowed me to create my narrative and also allow other people to do the same. So I created a platform to be able to do for other people what I wish somebody would have been able to do for me. You know what I mean? And like I said, man, I'm in the best position ever in my life, but there were certain things I had to go through and certain things I had to do and information I had to absorb and people I had to separate and start working on who I wanted to be in order to get to this point, man. So I'm real excited about this shit. Like, if in the Facebook group, I posted some after videos of some people I've been interviewing, but I got some really dope shit coming up, man. I'm super fucking excited about it. Shit that I want to talk about right now that I can't, but I will soon. Like, trust me, I'm gonna be talking about this shit soon, man. So, I hope everybody, man, fuck with it. It's gonna be some really useful, dope shit. We're gonna be covering everything. We're gonna be covering it. And, man, give a little bit about everything. Also, for anybody, man, if there's somebody you want to hear, if there's some shit that, you want to hear talked about, get in the comments, tell me what you want to hear or who you want to listen to. Like, I'm gonna listen to, people who in a group or, follow me. Like, I want to give the people what they want to. So if there's some shit that you want to hear or somebody you want to listen to, let me know. And if it's useful or if it's, gears towards the shit that I'm doing, yeah, let's get them on here. Let's give y'all what y'all want. So, um, with that being said, man, I got some super, like, for real, I can't stress this shit enough. I'm super fucking excited. I hope y'all fuck with it, man. Really, really dope shit on the way. And man, hopefully it's gonna keep y'all entertained and give y'all drop some jewels for y'all for people who trying to do shit. And hopefully the shit that's on here can help the next person get out of their own way and get other people out their way and start figuring out shit business wise that maybe they want to do that maybe they didn't know before. So, with that being said, man, this is just an intro video. I just wanted to keep it short and sweet. If you want to follow, there's a YouTube channel, Tevin Talks Podcast, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook group. Everything is Tevin Talks Podcast. If you got a Twitter, I'm working on that shit. I used to be fucking cold at Twitter, but I took years off. So now I'm trying to maneuver my way back in there. But Snapchat, Facebook group, Instagram, YouTube channel, everything is Tevin Talks Podcast. And man, it's the first video going up, so hope y'all fuck with it. A lot of dope shit on the way. Just want to make sure I don't forget nothing. We got the platforms. Fuck, I wish I could tell y'all some of this dope shit, but I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna keep it a surprise, man. But yeah, man, everything you see in here is me. This is just the intro video to Tevin Talks Podcast, man. We got some really dope shit coming. So, man, hope y'all fuck with it. Stay tuned. Tevin Talks Podcast intro over and out. You heard?